Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us discuss first what should be the approach of studying political theory. Okay.
मुझे कुछ कहना था।
हाँ बताइए।
सर अगर आप हिंदी से मतलब चीजें समझाइएगा तो अच्छा होगा।
देखिए ये पूरी क्लास हिंदी में नहीं हो सकती है, लेकिन मान लीजिए कोई ऐसा टॉपिक है जो आपको समझ में नहीं आता है, देन यू कैन आस्क, देन वी कैन हैव ए डिस्कशन. ओके.
ओ ठीक है।
Okay. So first thing that we need to understand is political theory. So can anyone tell me what is the weightage? How many questions are being asked? How many questions were being asked in 2024 from this topic? Any idea? If we look at this political theory, then a total of only 7 questions out of 75 were asked from political theory. So what would be the percentage then in that case? What percentage of questions were asked from political theory? So roughly you can say around 10%. It's less than 10%, but then you can say 10%. Okay. Not exactly 10, less than 10. However, if you look at 2022 and 2023 paper, like CVT started from 2022 onwards. Okay. So if we look at the total number of questions, then in 2023, a total of 12 questions were asked. And if you look at 2024, then any idea how many questions were asked? Any idea?
7.
Only 8 questions were asked in 2022. Okay. So the next question is, how important is this political theory? If there are only 7 to 8 questions, let's say sometimes they can ask 12 questions also. So how important it is to cover this topic? Because if you look at 75 questions, can anyone tell me what was the cutoff of JNE for 2024? 2024 general category. Let's start with general category cutoff. What was the cutoff? 85.
85.
Okay. So this 85% converts to how many marks? 255. To get 255 marks, how many questions do we need to solve? Approx 64 question, right? So out of 75 question, we need to solve 64 questions correctly to get into JNU. So now let me rephrase this question. Can we leave political theory if we want to get into JNU? Can we ignore this topic?
No, sir.
No, because we can expect that around 10, maybe 12, maybe 8. Okay. These many number of questions will definitely be asked in the examination. Okay. So we cannot ignore political theory, even though relatively, if we look at the weightage of Indian polity, it's much higher. Around 20 to 25% questions are being asked from Indian polity. But then when we look at this political theory, one thing that we can be sure is that this topic sometimes out of this 8, roughly 6 to 7 will be easier questions. And at the same time, let's say 2 to 3 questions, depending if 10 to 12 questions are being asked. So this will be difficult. Okay. Again, this is not difficult. It is not as difficult that we cannot solve these questions. Okay. So relatively, what is going to be political theory is something that we are going to discuss. But then anyone having any question about the importance of this topic? In political theory, we are going to study 11 to 12 different topics. So we can expect one question from each topics. Okay. So पता है ये सारी चीजें को देख के लगता है कभी कभी कि सर इतना पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी इतना वास्ट टॉपिक हो जाता है, कैसे कवर अप किया जाए, राइट? हाउ टू
Yes,
कवर? Because let's say that there are multiple books which concern political theory, like when we talk about Rajiv Bhargava, right? His book, or Andrew Haywood, or maybe O.P. Guava. So there are multiple books that we need to study just to cover political theory. So if you look at the study material, okay, so we have what we have done is then we have compiled various sources and created a single PDF which covers everything. Okay. Now again the next question that is going to be asked is, sir, just by reading at the material, can we do everything? Can we solve all the question? So there might be the case that even the study materials are not sufficient. Why? Because study material will help you in learning, but finally, when we talk about exam, we need our own evaluation. Okay. So what we are going to do is that first we'll be focusing on learning and then evaluation part. Is that clear? And there will be midterm evaluation. Like if we divide political theory, when we talk about political theory is all about relationships between individual and society, right? Individual and society. And how we construct this relationship is very much important. Like there is one complete segment when we talk about justice, liberty, equality, rights. So these are four topics that we are going to cover it together. Cover it together in the sense that you will find that there is some kind of overlap between justice and liberty, or liberty and equality, or how does rights back both equality and liberty, right? Because why? Because what you will see in that even in the Indian Constitution, part part third talks about fundamental rights. Yes or no? And
Yes, sir.
yes,
this
sir.
equality becomes part of these rights. So what is the relationship? Okay. So we are going to cover is all of these topics. And once all these four topics are covered, we'll have a mock test. Okay. And to practice this, how to practice? So we have, I think, added topic-wise question bank. I assume that you have seen in your Google Drive that yes, there are topic-wise question bank. So I think 50 questions are sufficient, and there are varying difficulty level questions. Okay, so we'll be covering that. Now, again, when we look at the other section, we have state, we have political obligation, then we have sovereignty, we have power. So these are something that we need to be covered collectively. Why? Because there is a relationship between political obligation and sovereignty, or there is a relationship between state and sovereignty, right? Then we have a concept of something like when we talk about democracy or development or maybe citizenship. So these topics will be covered together because again, you'll find that Democracy and development. Sometimes we will find that yes, citizenship might be different from development and democracy, but then we can club all these topics and then we can have a composite mock test. Once we cover complete political theory, then maybe we can have 2 to 3 mock tests. So the only reason, or you can say the only objective of having so many mock tests is so that, at each learning curve, when we start over here, either we are going in this direction or going in this direction. If we are going in this direction, this means we are not gaining anything. We need to move in this direction. Like political theory is over, then are we moving 45-degree or horizontal or vertical? Okay. When we cover WPT, when we cover IPT, when we cover IR, so what is our graph? Okay. So we'll be doing all of these things. Any question? Any question till now?
No, sir.
Okay. So let's start with any single topic, and maybe we can start with justice so that we can first discuss what should be the approach of studying any of the topics under political theory. Okay. So we are talking about political theory. So let's talk about justice. The first thing that you need to go back and do today is look at questions of 2022, 23, and 2024 and see how questions are being asked. Okay, because there will be changes in not only difficulty, but there will be changes in terms of structure of question. What do we mean by structure? So structure means they can be MCQ type. Like when we are talking about justice, what are the different? Can you tell me uh, how does Plato define justice?
So he defines justice as कि सबको जो जो तीन लोग होते हैं जो इन्होंने सोसाइटी को डिवाइड किया है उसके अंडर सबको अपना काम करना चाहिए कोई भी उस चीज में इंटरफेरेंस नहीं कर सकता.
So justice is harmony.
Yes.
Okay. How does Aristotle define justice? Justice is virtue and fairness. So we'll be discussing all of these things. Let me just discuss about the overview and then how the questions are being framed. Because see, you read any book, either आप ओपी गुआवा पढ़ लीजिए, एंडी ह्यूट की पढ़ लीजिए, राजीव भार्गव पढ़ लीजिए, कहीं के नोट्स उठा लीजिए. The first thing that we need to understand is that what's the approach of studying. क्योंकि जब हम सेमेस्टर एग्जाम्स के बारे में देखते हैं ना तो वहां पे सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. यू कैन इफ आई से दैट यस प्लेटो टॉक्ड अबाउट जस्टिस एज फेयरनेस, आप वो गार्जियंस के बारे में लिख दीजिएगा, किंग्स के बारे में लिख दीजिएगा, यू विल राइट समथिंग समथिंग. But then when we talk about the entrance examination, any MCQ objective type, we have to be very much specific. Okay. Like when we talk about within the modern theories of justice, John Rawls, he talks about justice as fairness. How does Robert Nozick talks about justice? Justice as entitlement, right? In which book did he talk about justice as entitlement? Anarchy, State and Utopia.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this book was published in 1973, right? How does Bentham talks about justice? Justice, because they are talking about maximizing utility, right? So justice says, justice says. So see, within this topic of justice, we are talking about Plato, Aristotle, justice as fairness, justice as entitlement. So now let's understand how questions are being framed. So when we talk about mass type, so what they'll say, Plato, Aristotle, Mantham, and Robert logic. Okay, and then they'll give four different theories and they'll ask, क्या आप मैच कराइए? This is one way of asking question. What they will do is that they'll give the name of books and ideas, like justice says entitlement, justice says capability approach. Okay, so who gave the idea of justice capability approach? Amar Sen. So this is the second way within our match the following type questions, how they can raise the question. The third that you'll also find is that why did I write the year in which the book was published? Because what they have also done in the past is that they have listed out four different, let's say, book or the topic, like justice as entitlement, justice as fairness, and what they have asked is how were these chronological order arranged in chronological order. So this is again one way of asking question. Are you getting these concepts? समझ में आ रही है चीजें?
Yes, sir.
So these are different ways
Yes.
from the same topic. How can they ask question? Okay, this is clear.
Yes, sir.
Now there are questions where you'll find that yes, there are multiple statements. Multiple statement means like they'll talk about Aristotle and how does Aristotle define justice, and they'll give 3, 4 statement, 5 statement. Which of the following are correct? Are correct. So there are different ways in which a question can be asked. So whenever you look at any of the lectures, whenever you look at any of the materials, any of the book, any of the PDF, we will have to find out what relevant information is hidden inside the text, which is important for the entrance examination. We have to focus right now on cracking the examination rather than enhancing the knowledge. Because if you look at any of the standard syllabus, you can pick up the syllabus of Delhi University and you'll find that in Delhi University syllabus, for each individual subtopics, they have given a list of books which you should refer. And usually individual chapters are being taken out from those books and these are being taught to the students. But for the entrance examination, and those things are for developing the general idea about the topic. But when we look at the entrance examination, you'll find that there are students who have not studied political science throughout their graduation. They have done their law or maybe economics or history, and then they have cracked political science entrance exam. So why is it so? What is the difference? Why even a non-political science student can crack examination, and sometimes will fail that even those students who have studied political science cannot crack the examination. So there is a difference is in terms of the approach. Our idea is right now is to crack the examination. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Huh. So maybe we can start this discussion on justice, and we are going to be very much specific, like what do we mean by justice, how are we looking at this topic of justice. Okay, so let's start now. Okay, so one of the earliest philosophers who talked about justice was Plato, right? And how does Plato define justice?
Justice is fairness.
अभी तो हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया, ये तो जस्टिस एज फेयरनेस किसके द्वारा दिया गया था?
जस्टिस एज हार्मोनी।
Justice as harmony. So why does he talk about justice as harmony? What does he mean? Because when we look at the topic of justice, again, we or any of the topic of, let's say, liberty, equality, and rights, one thing that we need to understand is that when we look at this topic of justice, we are talking about the individuals. Okay, and we say that individuals in relationship to the state. So whether the state guarantees justice to the individual or it is the individual who derives justice from the state. Can we have this concept of justice without a state? Can justice exist without a state?
नो सर।
Why? No. Why? See, we need to answer all of these things because if we are not having the correct argument, we will not be able to solve assertion region type questions. So we need to understand the correct argument. So why justice not exist without a state?
सर जस्टिस के लिए कोई होना चाहिए ताकि हमें जस्टिस दिला सके।
Yes. So
इसलिए हमें स्टेट जरूरी है।
state guarantees
जस्टिस।
justice.
तो इसका
Now,
ये भी तो हो सकता है कि स्टेट के बिना बताएगा कौन कि जस्टिस का मतलब क्या होगा।
क्यों हम और आप नहीं बता सकते हैं?
सर हमारे और उनके विचारधाराओं में बहुत अंतर होता है। वो पढ़े लिखे लोग होंगे जिन्हें हम
अरे नहीं
चुनेंगे।
नहीं नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि इस क्लास में जितने लोग बैठे हैं, ठीक है,
हम्म,
मैंने क्या बोला कि जिसको भी जब भी कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना हो तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं, राइट?
जी सर।
इज देयर एनी इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ एनी स्टेट?
नो सर।
Then how do we guarantee the concept? Do we say that yes, there is no justice in this class?
देयर इज जस्टिस सर।
How?
सर सबने अपना माइक ऑफ कर रखा है, सब आपकी बात सुन रहे हैं
So
और उन
does it mean that I am the state?
बट सम काइंड ऑफ अथॉरिटी यू हैव दैट अगर कोई मिसबिहेव करता है तो
Yes,
यू
and
कैन
this
जस्ट।
is exactly what Hobbes talked about.
यस।
When we talk about Hobbes, he talked about a authority, right? Which is supreme than the individuals. Correct? Whereas when we
यस।
talk about any other theorist of sovereignty, social contract, Locke and Rousseau, both talked about, Rousseau talked about a limited government, right? Yes or no? सी एक चीज आप लोग ध्यान में रखिएगा, जो क्लासेस हम लोग ले रहे हैं ना, ये सारा रिलेशनशिप के साथ ही हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे, क्योंकि पता है एक लिमिटेशन हम लोगों ने ये भी देखा है कि जो एंट्रेंस एग्जाम में जो एमसीक्यू पूछे जाते हैं ना, वो मल्टीपल टॉपिक को ना मिला के ही पूछे जाते हैं। वो सेमेस्टर एग्जाम में हो सकता है कि चलिए ठीक है, आपने एक सेमेस्टर में जस्टिस पढ़ लिया, दूसरे सेमेस्टर में लिबर्टी पढ़ लिया, तो अलग अलग सेपरेटली पूछा जाता है। और मुझे लगता है कि मैक्सिमम इस क्लास में ऐसे स्टूडेंट होंगे जिन्होंने ये सारे टॉपिक पढ़ रखा है। द ओनली डिफरेंस इज दैट वो आप लोगों ने रिफ्रेश नहीं किया है, या यू हैव नॉट लुक्ड एट हाउ टू स्टडी नाउ फॉर द एंट्रेंस एग्जामिनेशन. ओके, बट देन कभी भी आपको ऐसा लगता है कि यहाँ कुछ चीज समझ में नहीं आ रही, देन यू कैन आस्क क्वेश्चन. ओके, एंड Rocio talked about general will. So this simply says that yes, authority is important, or you can say the state is important, because it is the state which not only guarantees but also protects. Why? Because we are talking about retributive justice. अगर मान लीजिए कोई मर्डर करता है, then why do we say that yes, in the India there is a concept of capital punishment? Why is that? What is the basis of this concept of capital punishment? Hmm? Whereas there is a distinction. आप लोग इस चीज से कंफ्यूज नहीं हो जाएगा. रेट्रिब्यूटिव जस्टिस इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम रेस्टोरेटिव जस्टिस. Restorative justice. So restorative justice, as you can think of in terms of, rather than punishment, it's more like a compensation. जैसे मान लीजिए कहीं रोड बन रही है तो मुआवजा मिलता है ना. और इफ a dam is constructed, or anything which is being constructed, so you find that yes, the villagers whose lands are taken away, they are compensated, right?
तो इसमें चोरी का एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं कि मेरे घर में चोरी हो गई तो उसको कंपनसेशन मिलेगा या
चोरी
उसका सामान उसको वापस मिल
आपकी
जाएगा.
चोरी का कंपनसेशन कौन देगा? सरकार देती है क्या?
नहीं नहीं, मैं बोल रही हूँ कि जैसे चोरी होगी तो सरकार उसको पकड़ के मुझे वो सामान वापस करेगा और उसको
That is not
पनिशमेंट देके
retributive
जस्टिस.
justice. That is
ओके.
retributive justice, because retributive justice is about the harm which is being done to you and the punishment which is being offered to the next party. Retributive justice यहाँ पे हो जाता है आपका कि compensation, because when a road is being constructed, so you are not doing any harm, or but then there is a loss. There can be a loss in terms of monetary loss or land loss, or you can say employment loss, or whatever loss which is being incurred. So for that case, compensation is being provided. For example, when the Delhi Metro were being constructed, so National Green Tribunal told Delhi Metro that okay, we cannot make not. I found this on the web. Okay, we cannot say that yes, you cannot cut the trees, but then what you can do is that if you cut one tree, you will have to plant 10 trees. Okay, so we are going to restore the nature. Okay, so let's first talk about what are the different principles or concepts of justice, then we can move forward. So within justice, we are going to look at there are two different classical philosophers, Plato and Aristotle. Then we have modern theories. We have John by John Rawls, then Robert Nozick. Then third, we have alternative approaches or perspective of justice. Okay, they are not totally on justice, but then you can talk about the alternative definitions of justice. Okay, like libertarian or communitarian or feminist theories. Then there is a concept of distributive justice. Then capability approach. Capability approach was discussed by Amar Sen in which book? Development as Freedom. Okay. Again, justice can be divided into, you can say, different procedures. Why are we talking about this concept of procedural justice? Any idea?
सब प्रोसीजर के हिसाब से ही तो जस्टिस एस्टैब्लिश होगा कि
Procedural
किसको
justice talks about, rather than, you can say, how state is going to approach. State approach. Or where we talk about justice as fairness, or you can say fair process. When we talk about CUET examination, if CUET examination is conducted in an unfair way, can we say that yes, justice has been served to each and every student who is preparing for this examination?
No, sir.
Okay. So one is your fair process, and fair process is about the state mechanism of, let's say we are talking about ensuring CUET examination. The second is you can talk about participatory justice. Without participation in any of the processes, even let's say for CUET examination, or recently we concluded our general election. So can we say that yes, participation, without participation, we can ensure justice? Because we are talking about justice as an inclusive decision making process. And sometimes this is also interpreted as this concept of freedom. Okay. Then we have this concept of global justice. Who gave this concept of global justice? Who gave? Thomas Paine? Who gave this concept of global justice? Okay. So we are going to discuss all of these things in this details. Okay. So let's start one by one. So let's start with Aristotle. So whenever we are looking at any of the philosophers, the two important things that we are going to look at is definition. Second is our classification. Okay. Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
फिर से बताइए. Yes, sir.
तो डेफिनेशन इन द सेंस कि जैसे मान लीजिए एरिस्टोटल ने जस्टिस को कैसे डिफाइन किया है. लाइक यू सेड दैट यस, अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लेटो, जस्टिस उसी समय सोसाइटी में एग्जिस्ट करेगा व्हेन एवरीवन इज फ्री टू डू व्हाटएवर दे वांट टू डू, राइट, अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर विजडम और information whatever they have. So when we talk about, let's start with this Aristotle. Aristotle classified, or he distinguished three types of justice. So one was distributive justice.
Commutative and corrective.
अच्छा, एक चीज और यहाँ पे, you know, when we talk about justice, it's also important to look at where does this justice originate. End result. Why? Because let me tell you one, how to understand this source of origination and end result. When we talk about Amar Sen, he talked about capability, approach, right? Then we have John Rawls. He talked about just institutions. Now, अगर हम रॉल्स की बात माने, so what he argued is just institutions meaning everything is fair in society. If everything is fair in society, the result will be fair. Result will be fair. Okay. This means let's again take the example of CUET. If CUET conducts the examination in an excellent manner where there is no leakage of anything, it's conducted on time, students are given proper time to read the question paper, everything, can we say that yes, justice has been served? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Does it mean that everything justice has been served?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how does Amar Sen disagree with John Rawls? Okay.
So बच्चों की कैपेबिलिटी के ऊपर बोला था उन्होंने शायद से
कैसे कैपेबिलिटी कैसे?
कि जो फिजिकली डिसेबल्ड बच्चे होंगे उनका कैपेबिलिटी अलग होगा और जो जो प्रॉपर
So,
अच्छे बच्चे
so,
होंगे
so if I ask you to make an argument in this relation about CUET, so what
यस
should
सर
be your argument then?
सब मेरे हिसाब से तो जो फिजिकली डिसेबल्ड बच्चे हैं उनके लिए अलग से एग्जाम मतलब अलग से एरिया होना चाहिए जहाँ पे उनको सेफ फील हो उनको डिस्क्रिमिनेटिव ना फील हो ऐसा
Okay. Now let me give another example. Let's say that Dipankar is a person who has done his graduation from Bangla medium. Okay. Dipankar doesn't know Hindi or English. Can he appear in examination?
नो सर
आपका CUET exam will be conducted in Hindi or English? Yes or no?
Both language, sir.
यस सर
So even though Dipankar has studied everything which is necessary for political science, had it been the case that yes, if the questions were asked in let's say Bangla, then Dipankar would have scored let's say 290 out of 300. But since he doesn't know how to read Hindi or English, he cannot appear in the examination because he cannot understand. So would capability approach means freedom to realize the opportunity. Simply availability of opportunity that has been offered by CUET is not sufficient. I must be having some freedom to realize. CUET gives an opportunity to each and every individual to appear in examination, right? And this is a fair opportunity. It's not an unfair opportunity. This is a fair opportunity. So when we talk about immersion, it's not just limited to when about capability, just not limited to he used the example between three individuals by saying that yes, one is physically disabled and interest and other some skills and all. But the core value is freedom to realize the opportunity. If I am not having the freedom to realize the opportunity, on the second hand, let's say that I know both Hindi and English. I don't have 1,000 rupees to pay for CVT examination. Can I appear in CVT examination?
No, sir.
नो सर
I have the freedom to realize this opportunity. Opportunity is there, but then it has a financial restraint, right?
Yes.
Hmm. So that's why, when we look at distributive justice, sometimes you'll find that distributive justice is something where both not only Aristotle but also Rawls has been categorized. Why? Because just institutions look at inequality and try to address this inequality through distribution. That's why Rawls is being talked under both distributive justice and procedural, because he talks about to fair approach through just institutions. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So when if there is a question like in 2024 also there was a question and they were asked like who all of these fall under this category. So if there is a question regarding distributive justice, and if you find Aristotle and Rawls, be 100% sure that yes, both of them come under the category. I mean, Rawls come under both the category of distributive justice and justice as or procedural justice. Okay. So we say that yes, Aristotle defines three types of justice. So one is regarding the distribution. So how does he categorize three different justice? So one is regarding distribution, second is regarding corrective or remedial, and the third is regarding reciprocal. So एक तरीका और है entrance exam में what they'll do, distributive, remedial, reciprocal, and they write procedural. And then they will ask which of the following is not a correct classification or distinction done by Aristotle. So this is one way of asking question. Okay. So distributive justice is distribution or allocation, fair resources of allocation, or you can say fair allocation. Now, fair allocation needs to be done only in case of goods or everything. Only
तो
resources or on.
इसमें वेल्थ, प्रॉपर्टी और अपॉर्चुनिटी भी आएगा.
So resources cover everything. Okay. So he talks
Okay,
about
sir.
proportionate equality because he talks about proportionality or benefits according to merit as per merit. So he doesn't talk about fair allocation in terms of equality, but he talks about in terms of proportionality. Okay. And this equality is something that has been talked about unequal distribution among unequals. So this is one definition of equality. Other definition is equal distribution. So this equal distribution is a concept of Rawls theory or sense theory.
सर एक बार क्वेश्चन रिपीट करना.
Equal distribution, when we talk about just procedures, so you'll find equal distribution within the theory of Rawls or within the theory of Sen. इक्वालिटी ऑफ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन किसके द्वारा आपको लगता है कि ज्यादा फोकस किया गया था, रॉल्स के द्वारा या सेन के द्वारा? Because Sen talks about need based.
सर रॉल्स के द्वारा.
Yes. So equal distribution, like when we talked about CUET examination, क्या कभी ऐसा होता है कि मान लीजिए कोई स्टेट बोर्ड वाले हैं जहां पे उनका ग्रेजुएशन भी ढंग से कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ हो और सीयूटी उनको बोले कि ठीक है आप जो है 5 ही क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करके आ जाइए? डज सीयूटी फॉलो नीड बेस्ड evaluation? Okay, leave CUET. Let's talk about Delhi University. Again, example, Dipankar, good in football, represents DU. Is he going to get extra marks?
सर
No. मतलब बेनिफिट तो उतना ही मिलेगा जितना मान लीजिए अगर पासिंग मार्क्स 33% है तो क्या दीपांकर के लिए पासिंग मार्क्स कम किया जाएगा?
No, sir.
नो सर
दिस is this need based approach? Then if it is not a need based approach, take some other example. When we talk about ration, like Modi ji said that everyone will get 5 kg, let's say per week. Now Dipankar's diet is something that he requires only 3 kg per week. Let's say there is some other Mukesh, he requires 7 kg. But Mukesh is also going to get 5 kg of ration and Dipankar is also going to get 5 kg, even though the requirement of Mukesh is much more higher than Dipankar. But this is considered to be procedural justice, justice in terms of procedure. Okay, and this is considered to be fair. Okay, so this is how Aristotle defines justice. So one, when we talk about distribution, so he talks about equality of distribution. Next is the remedial corrective measures, corrective justice. Okay, so whatever wrong has been caused, so how do we compensate? Okay, like for example, can we say that yes, insurance is a part of corrective justice? No. But then on the other hand, when we have a civil court, the purpose of civil court is to look into the wrong that has been caused and correct those injustice. Okay, is it clear? Yes or no?
वो सर एक बार बताना कि आपने वो इंश्योरेंस वाला क्या बोला था?
I am saying insurance is to compensate the loss. Like let's say that you have a vehicle, you have a car, और कार का चोरी हो जाता है तो इंश्योरेंस आपको उसके लिए पैसा देता है, राइट?
यस सर
तो इसका मतलब ये होता है क्या कि इंश्योरेंस जो है वो करेक्टिव जस्टिस का एक मैकेनिज्म है?
नो सर
नो, व्हाई?
वो क्योंकि वो उसको सिर्फ मतलब इंश्योरेंस पे पैसा मिल रहा है उसको उसका गाड़ी
Because insurance is between two individuals and I am going to insure my asset or action.
यस सर
Okay. Aristotle also defined political justice and he categorized political justice. And he categorized political justice into two different, natural and legal. Natural are those which are universal, where we can talk about, or you can talk about, let's say, Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Article 21 talks about right to life,
Yes, sir.
right to life. Why we are saying universal? Because again, this is very much important for survival. And right to life is not only applicable to the Indian citizen, but also foreign nationals. Whereas when we talk about legal justice, to think of right to education, where free and compulsory education to the age group of 6 to 14 years. Now, can a child of, let's say, Nepal, can he or she move Supreme Court just to claim his right to education? No. Okay. So one thing that we discussed is when we look at justice or any of the topic, we are going to look at two different things. One is the individual, the second is the state. While defining the role, how justice is going to enhance the quality of life of an individual, Aristotle also focuses on the state. Because according to Aristotle, state is an important or essential institution. Because without this state, who will guarantee justice? Who guarantee justice? Not only guarantee, who delivers justice. Okay. So according to Aristotle, it is the state. And what did Aristotle call this state? Polis. Okay. Because state is necessary to deliver common good. Justice is being considered to be a common good. Common good by the Aristotle. Okay. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Because this relationship is very much necessary for balance or harmony or equilibrium in society. And if there is no justice, everyone will be unhappy. That's why Bentham talks about greatest happiness of the greatest number.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's why this concept is known as utility maximization. One thing again you will find which is very much interesting when we study Bentham. See, we said that justice is something that is seen in terms of society, individual. Okay. Not society, state. The third concept talks about the justice in society. When we look at this number, greatest happiness of the greatest number, are we talking about the individual or group of individuals?
Group of individuals.
Group of individuals, and group of individuals collectively called as society, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's why when we talk about all of these things, how can justice be, you can say, categorized? We have or dimensions of justice. So we have legal justice, political, and economic. And again, these are some of the concepts which are also being used in equality. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Any question?